There is a challenge with flying cars in that they'll be quite noisy, the wind force generated will be very high. Let's just say that if something's flying over your head, a whole bunch of flying cars going all over the place.
There was no stage, no product reveal, and no dramatic countdown, just a quiet moment in an interview when Elon Musk casually dropped a bombshell that could change the course of transportation forever. Tesla revealed the first prototype of a flying car, and what sounded like another bold idea from Elon might actually be something much more dangerous, the beginning of an entirely new race that Tesla is already late to join. Because while the world was still reacting to Musk's comment, another company had already launched a fully functional prototype, and it flew. So is Tesla really about to take flight, or is this a desperate pivot? Can Elon win a battle for the skies that's already underway? And if flying cars become real, who will be lifted, and who will be left behind? What's happening? Beneath Tesla's bold ideas lies an arsenal of real technology that could make a flying car more than just a fantasy. For starters, Tesla's lithium iron phosphate batteries are some of the most advanced in the world. They're safer, cheaper, and critically lighter. That matters when you're trying to lift something off the ground. These batteries already power millions of road vehicles. With the right design adjustments, they could power something much higher. Then there's Tesla's electric motors. The ones used in the Model S Plaid aren't just fast, they're precise. The torque delivery is instant, making them ideal for an aircraft that needs rapid, stable lift. Combine that with Tesla's extensive work on autonomous navigation, and you've got the framework for something special. Full self-driving isn't perfect, but its neural networks and AI systems offer a massive head start in air-based autonomy. Tesla also has experience with software integration, hardware redundancy, and over-the-air updates, essential ingredients for keeping a flying machine safe, smart, and constantly improving. In theory, they could blend their electric, autonomous, and aerospace insights into a truly functional vertical takeoff and landing platform. But building something that flies isn't just about engineering. It's about execution. It's about testing, certifying, iterating, and, most of all, beating the clock. And while Tesla was theorizing, another company was doing it. Because in China, one automaker wasn't talking about flying cars. They were already airborne. Xpengs' head start, China's flying leap. In Guangzhou, China, Xpeng didn't tease a flying car. They flew one. The unveiling of Xpeng's land aircraft carrier wasn't theoretical. It wasn't a slideshow. It was a live manned demonstration of a real-world dual-mode vehicle. This wasn't a stunt, it was a flex, and the message was clear. While Tesla was still sketching ideas, Xpeng was already climbing altitude. The vehicle itself is a marvel of modular design. The ground unit operates like a high-end electric SUV, capable of over 1,000 kilometers of range on a single charge. But docked on top of it is something more radical, a 6-propeller VTOL module that detaches and lifts off vertically. With one system, drivers can either glide down the road or lift above it, avoiding traffic, floods, or urban chaos entirely. It sounds like science fiction, but Xpeng made it reality. The flight demo was conducted in front of a crowd of engineers, executives, and media. The vehicle didn't just hover, it rose, stabilized, maneuvered, and landed with precision. It was a proof of concept turned proof of execution. No renderings, no vaporware, just physics, propulsion, and performance. Even more stunning is Xpeng's production roadmap. The company is constructing a new facility in Guangzhou with the capacity to manufacture up to 10,000 aerial modules per year. That's not a limited run, that's industrialization. Xpeng isn't just exploring flying cars, they're mass producing them, and they're doing it now. For Tesla, the contrast is devastating. While Musk's words made headlines, Xpeng's actions made history. It's no longer a matter of who can build a flying car, it's a question of who can scale one first. And so far, Xpeng is winning. They have product, they have production, they have a plan. Tesla has vision but no hardware. While Musk stirred global headlines, Xpeng launched an aerial fleet. But just as Tesla's rivals soared, its carefully crafted myth began to show cracks that would soon become impossible to ignore. The death of the Tesla myth. Elon Musk was cast as a visionary, part Tony Stark, part real-world disruptor, who bent the laws of business and physics to his will. Tesla wasn't just selling cars, it was selling the future. And people bought into it completely. But myths only last as long as the magic holds. And lately, the spell is wearing off. The Cybertruck was unveiled in 2019 with bulletproof windows and a launch date of 2021. Years later, it remains rare and plagued by production setbacks. The next generation Roadster, promised to be the fastest car ever built, still hasn't arrived. The Tesla Semi, initially forecast for a 2019 release, is only just beginning to scale. Investors, once enchanted by the hype, have started asking uncomfortable questions. Meanwhile, fans are getting tired. Tesla loyalists who waited patiently through delays and broken promises are now beginning to question whether the company can keep pace with its own ambition. Social media pages once filled with support now host skepticism. YouTube channels that praised Elon's genius now hedge their excitement with disclaimers. Even the media, once a megaphone for Musk's every tweet, has grown weary. Headlines now include words like overpromise, delayed, and vaporware. Wall Street analysts, who once predicted Tesla would reach a $5 trillion valuation, now downgrade the stock, citing competitive pressure and execution risk. The myth of Tesla was that it could do anything faster and better than anyone else. But the data no longer supports that narrative. Reality is catching up. And the government? It wasn't impressed either. We tracked every prototype, every patent, and every flight test so you don't have to. This isn't hype, it's what's really happening. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. Grounded by the government. The most powerful enemy of the flying car might not be physics or finance, it's paperwork. As Tesla floats the idea of taking its vehicles to the skies, it collides with an entirely new force: airspace law. The Federal Aviation Administration in the United States operates with glacial speed. Certifying a new aircraft, especially one meant to operate in dense, urban settings, can take years. There is no clear pathway for vertical takeoff and landing vehicles in the current regulatory framework. Tesla would be entering not just an innovation race, but a bureaucratic maze. Meanwhile, in Europe, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency is making progress, slowly developing standards for electric flight. But even there, the process is heavy with technical documentation, pilot protocols, and urban flight restrictions. Only China's Civil Aviation Administration has moved fast, encouraging companies like Xpeng to advance aggressively with minimal delays. Municipalities add another layer of resistance. Cities across the United States have introduced ordinances banning drone activity near schools, parks, and residential areas. Applying those restrictions to human-carrying aircraft makes deployment nearly impossible. Mayors don't want flying machines hovering above crowded roads or suburban neighborhoods, regardless of how safe the technology claims to be. And then there's Elon's own political posture. Musk has built his brand on criticizing regulation, feuding with government agencies, and advocating for minimal oversight. That might work in software. It doesn't fly, literally, in aerospace. And even if the laws change tomorrow, a new American player had already lifted off. Aska A5. The hybrid Tesla didn't see coming. It didn't make headlines. It didn't trend on social media. And it certainly didn't come from Elon Musk. But in a quiet corner of Silicon Valley, a company called Aska unveiled something that might one day change everything. A flying car that works, solves problems, and doesn't require the world to be rebuilt around it. While Tesla flirted with radical ambition and China raced ahead with dazzling prototypes, Aska built something more subtle and potentially more powerful. The Aska A5 is not science fiction. It is a hybrid electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle. And unlike most of its competitors, it has already secured a special airworthiness certificate from the Federal Aviation Administration. What makes Aska so dangerous to Tesla isn't just the vehicle, it's the strategy. Instead of waiting for massive infrastructure investments, new air laws, or a billionaire PR stunt, Aska quietly worked its way through the regulatory maze. It didn't aim for shock value, it aimed for certification. That matters more than hype because while prototypes fly in hangars and auto shows, certified vehicles fly in the real world. Aska played the long game, and that patience is starting to pay off. The A5 is a hybrid, not just in powertrain, but in philosophy. On the road, it works like a sleek electric vehicle, but in flight mode, it deploys its wings and rotors to become a fully functional aircraft capable of vertical takeoff and cruising speeds up to 150 miles per hour. It's powered by a combination of electric batteries and a gasoline range extender, giving it an edge in both flexibility and range. That hybrid system solves two of the biggest challenges facing vehicles: energy density and emergency redundancy. If the batteries run low mid-air, the range extender kicks in. If there's a problem with power flow, the aircraft still has a chance to glide or land safely. This isn't just smart engineering, it's risk mitigation, something Tesla has often overlooked in its race to move fast and break things. But the most important thing about Aska isn't its engineering, it's its intent. The A5 was designed from the beginning as a family vehicle, not a rich person's toy. It has 4 seats. It's meant for daily commuting. It can fit in a garage. This is not an air taxi or a military prototype. It's suburban transportation with wings. That's a category Tesla hasn't even acknowledged yet. And while Musk dreams of sci-fi cities filled with autonomous flying pods, Aska is designing for the here and now. Real neighborhoods, real streets, real families. Perhaps the most impressive part of Aska's rollout is how quietly they've moved. They didn't need Elon's Twitter army. They didn't need splashy stunts or mysterious countdowns. They went directly to the Federal Aviation Administration, earned their certificate, and began testing in real-world conditions. That's how aerospace is supposed to work. That's how you build trust, not with theatrics, but with proof. Of course, none of this guarantees Aska will win. They face the same challenges every VTOL maker does: manufacturing at scale, customer education, insurance regulations, and distribution logistics. But the fact that they've already cleared the regulatory hurdle that has tripped up so many others gives them a head start that can't be ignored. And even great products mean nothing if no one wants the brand. The new Cold War, tech nationalism takes flight. Flying cars aren't just an engineering race anymore. They've become a geopolitical chess match. The stakes? Nothing less than airspace dominance, data supremacy, and the next frontier of global influence. The United States, China, and the European Union are no longer competing on the ground. They're aiming for the sky. And in this race, tech nationalism is starting to take hold in ways that could reshape everything from policy to patents. China wants to win this race badly. Xpeng, Ahang, and dozens of other firms are receiving quiet but substantial government backing. The logic is simple. Whoever controls the flying car economy controls the next layer of mobility and the data that comes with it. Just as China raced ahead in 5G and drones, it now sees VTOLs as a way to leapfrog traditional infrastructure and establish aerial hegemony. Meanwhile, US lawmakers are waking up. The Trump administration has begun earmarking funds for urban air mobility under defense and civilian budgets. DARPA is studying dual use cases. FAA fast-tracking teams are being assembled, and private sector players like Joby Aviation and Archer are receiving strategic support. The race is no longer theoretical. It's a matter of national interest, and underneath it all is a growing anxiety. What happens if a Chinese-built flying car becomes the default option in American cities? What happens if your personal air vehicle collects more data than your phone? What happens when companies like Xpeng, with rumored ties to Chinese state entities, start exporting en masse? Export restrictions are already on the table. Chip bans, sensor restrictions, and AI technology limits are being debated. And behind the scenes, there's another question simmering. How do you control a national airspace when 100,000 private vehicles can just take off? In many ways, the flying car race mirrors the early space race. It's not just about prestige. It's about leverage, surveillance, autonomy, national defense. Even delivery logistics are now part of the VTOL conversation, and the lines between public and private innovation are getting blurry fast. Xpeng isn't just building for consumers, it's building for global positioning, and that makes this more than a market trend. It's a global power shift, unfolding rotor by rotor. But back home, workers on the ground were already losing something. Blue-collar fallout. Will flying cars replace factory jobs? As the world looks to the skies, a quieter storm is brewing on the ground. For the workers who spent decades building America's cars, welding frames in Detroit, assembling battery packs in Texas, fabricating interiors in Fremont, the arrival of flying vehicles isn't inspiring. It's terrifying, because for them, this new era could mean the end of everything they've known. Geiga, Texas, and Fremont have been symbols of Tesla's industrial might. But flying cars won't need the same kind of factories. They're smaller, modular, and increasingly robotically assembled, with artificial intelligence managing more of the process. From component alignment to sensor integration, the traditional hands-on assembly model is fading fast. Jobs that once provided middle-class stability may vanish into clean rooms filled with drones and machines. The unions know this. The United Auto Workers and other labor groups have started to speak out, demanding clarity from Tesla and other aerial mobility companies. What role will American workers play in this new frontier? Will VTOLs be made in the USA, or will they be outsourced, like so many electronics? Will communities built around vehicle assembly plants be left behind? And it's not just about factories, it's about identity. Working on cars has been a point of pride for generations. Fathers taught sons how to fix things. High schools taught auto shop. Dealerships were local pillars. But aerial mobility threatens to sever that cultural thread. You can't fix a flying car in your driveway. You can't teach yourself aerodynamics with a socket wrench. This shift won't happen overnight, but it's already begun, and the fear is palpable. Workers don't just want jobs, they want relevance. They want to believe they still matter in the story of American progress. And even if we build the future, are we actually ready to live in it? Culture shock, from highways to skyways. For over a century, the automobile has defined freedom. The open road has been a symbol of autonomy, control, and identity. From the Model T to the Mustang, to the first time someone held the keys to their own car, driving has always been deeply cultural, something that speaks to who we are, how we live, and what we value. But now the horizon is changing. The idea of flying cars is no longer science fiction. It is very real, very close, and very disorienting. Excitement was the first reaction. Who wouldn't want to skip traffic and soar above the gridlock? The fantasy has been sold to us since childhood. Cartoons, video games, futuristic films. The allure of gliding above a congested freeway is powerful. But that excitement quickly fades when the practical realities begin to settle in. Flying is inherently different than driving. It introduces a completely different set of fears and uncertainties. It demands not just technological change, but psychological transformation. Fear of flying is one of the most common phobias in the world, and this isn't air travel in the traditional sense. This is you, potentially alone, in a machine powered by electric motors and software, navigating skyways that don't exist yet. For many people, the idea of taking off vertically from a driveway is thrilling, until you imagine the moment your control system glitches, or wind shear hits unexpectedly, or a mid-air collision becomes more than just a cinematic effect. Crashes on highways are terrifying, but crashes in the sky? There's no shoulder to pull off on. There's no margin for error. Beyond the physical fear is a deeper discomfort, control. People trust themselves behind the wheel. They rely on years of muscle memory and instinct. Flying removes that sense of control. It becomes about software, automation, AI. And even if autonomous flight becomes statistically safer than human driving, that won't immediately translate into trust. Behaviorally, humans struggle to embrace systems they don't fully understand, especially when their lives depend on them. Then there's the question no one really wants to ask: who gets to fly? In a world already divided by income, geography, and opportunity, will skybound mobility become another frontier for inequality? Will the wealthy rise above, quite literally, while the rest of society remains stuck in ground-level gridlock? Early VTOL vehicles are not priced for the average household. They're debuting at over $100,000. And even as costs fall, the infrastructure needed, private landing zones, exclusive sky corridors, could amplify existing socioeconomic divides. Flying may become more than just a new mode of travel. It could become a new class boundary. Cultural adoption doesn't happen at the speed of engineering. We've seen it before with everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to seatbelts. In the end, behavior is as important as hardware. Will people feel safe? Will they trust the systems? Will society rewrite the rules of mobility to include this new vertical reality? Polls suggest skepticism. People admire the innovation, but hesitate to accept it as part of their daily lives. They need proof. They need reassurance. They need to see it work for someone like them, not just billionaires or startups in Dubai. And the man who started it all? He's now racing against time. Elon's race against time. Elon Musk has always thrived on pressure. He's the kind of CEO who bets everything on a product that doesn't exist yet, who makes bold promises, delivers late, and still manages to change the world. But this time feels different. The timeline isn't flexible. The competition isn't just trying to catch up, they're pulling ahead. Tesla's once unassailable lead in electric vehicles is now being matched by legacy automakers and startups alike. And in the realm of flying cars, Elon isn't leading the race. He's trying to stay in it. Inside Tesla, the pressure is palpable. Top engineering talent has begun to bleed out to rival firms, lured by fresh opportunities at Xpeng, Aska, Jetson, and beyond. The culture of endless hours, blurred deadlines, and high-stakes perfectionism has begun to fracture under the weight of its own mythology. Tesla is no longer the small renegade team taking on the establishment. It is the establishment now, and that changes everything. Tesla's flying car ambition, however real or imagined, comes at a precarious time. Xpeng has already test-flown their land aircraft carrier and Aero HT. Jetsons 1 is sold out through 2025. Aska has FAA certification in progress. Meanwhile, Tesla hasn't shown a prototype. They haven't unveiled schematics. There's no launch date, no timeline, just a sentence in an interview and the memory of past promises. Elon is no stranger to underdog scenarios. In 2008, he risked his entire fortune to keep Tesla alive. In 2012, he made electric cars desirable with the Model S. In 2020, he pushed full self-driving into beta while critics called it reckless. He's proven people wrong before, but this is not just another product cycle. This is a paradigm shift, and time is not on his side. The industry is accelerating faster than Tesla's pipeline. Investors are asking tough questions. Media outlets are no longer giving the benefit of the doubt. And for perhaps the first time, Elon doesn't just have to prove he can do something extraordinary. He has to prove he can do it on schedule. Internally, sources suggest that early design teams are scrambling to build viable VTOL mock-ups. Leaked documents hint at a skunkworks-style division within Tesla Energy, potentially repurposing battery systems for aerial output. There are whispers of collaborations with SpaceX propulsion engineers, though nothing confirmed. But even if true, the clock is ticking. Because every week that passes without progress, the competition grows stronger, and the public grows more skeptical. This is Elon's race against time, a race not just for product supremacy, but for legacy. Because if Tesla loses the sky, it won't just be a product failure, it will be a cultural dethroning. And the markets had already begun to vote. But what if, against all odds, Elon still wins? The day the sky opened. The future never arrives with a single event. It drips in slowly, until one day it feels like it was always there. That day came quietly, without fanfare, without warning. Somewhere in a suburb in California, a man took off from his driveway in a flying vehicle. Not a billionaire, not a stunt pilot, just a regular person using a product that, until recently, was considered impossible. It wasn't a Tesla, it was a Jetson 1, or maybe an Xpeng Aero HT, or maybe the first Aska to hit the skies. The brand didn't matter. What mattered was the moment itself, a moment where airspace became personal, where vertical travel stopped being fantasy and started being mundane. Cities began rezoning rooftops for takeoff pads. Venture capital firms flooded aerial startups with billions. Hotels installed charging stations for VTOLs. Amazon quietly launched a sky delivery pilot program in Seattle. Uber rebranded a division as Uber Air. The infrastructure wasn't ready, but it was being built at breakneck speed. Public adoption surged faster than expected. As battery tech improved and costs fell, flying cars dropped below $100,000. Leasing options emerged. Insurance models adapted. Safety ratings improved. People realized that the skies didn't just belong to the elite, they were open. And Tesla? Tesla didn't die. It adapted, slowly, carefully. Maybe too late, maybe not. Elon Musk, ever the showman, returned with a flying Tesla prototype of his own. Whether it beat the competition didn't matter, because what mattered was that he showed up. He stayed in the game. And that, perhaps, was the real legacy. Because if Elon Musk actually pulls this off, he won't just change Tesla, he'll change the sky itself. The sky race has begun. Who's winning it? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.